Well, welcome everybody to our online program for the alumni of the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, British Columbia. And we've been talking this month about boredom and its relationship to addiction and recovery. So for our last edition, we'll talk about a solution to boredom as complexity. I know it sounds weird, but I'll try to help you understand it. There's a very famous psychologist. His name is Mihaly, Czikszentmihalyi. We just call him Mike, apparently. Anyway, Mike developed this theory called flow theory. And we've talked about this on the online program before. And one of the things that we've discovered from flow theory is how to keep things interesting in your life. And one of the key principles of that is whatever you do in life must get more complex. In other words, you can't just be doing the same old stuff over and over again, because then you're going to get really bored and you'll forget about it. A typical example, if you remember, I used at the center, is someone learning to play the guitar. Or piano, actually, doesn't matter what instrument. So when they first start, probably practice 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, buying the best guitar, all that kind of stuff, because they went to see an Eric Clapton concert. Anyway, huge learning curve, right? And just things are happening. Oh my Lord, look at that, I can play a C chord. Oh, isn't that great? Oh, geez, I can almost play a song here, right? But if you keep this up for an amount of time, what's going to happen to you, it happens to all musicians, is they hit a plateau where nothing seems to be happening. You've progressed so far. And it dawns on people that if they are going to get further, they might actually have to practice all that boring, dull, play scales kind of stuff, right? The stuff that all addicts hate, right? And not only are you going to have to practice today, but you're going to have to practice tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And if you work through all this, then you'll actually get a lot better, and then you can play much more complex music. But if all it is you're playing the same songs over and over again because you only know 4 chords, I'm pretty sure things are going to get boring, right? So complexity is actually very important in life. And this is true of everything. Whatever hobby, if you have model trains, right? That hobby has to become more complex in time. And if you're just still doing the same thing, you know, the little train runs around the track and nothing's changing, it's all the same scenery, everything, you're probably going to get bored of it. But not only in hobbies, but in things like relationships, right? Relationships have to grow and they have to blossom, and new energy has to be put in them. That's how a relationship becomes really firm and solid, and how people stay together for like 54 years, right? Because it gets more complex. You get to know each other better. Things are happening. You meet new people because either partner has different interests, right? Things get more complex. People who say unhappy in a relationship will often talk about nothing's going on. I'm in a rut. Same thing every day, right? The guy comes home, has dinner, watches TV, and goes to bed. Nothing's happening, right? No energy, nothing new, nothing to enrich the relationship, right? So this idea of complexity happens in many places. Seems at work. I mean, for people with addiction problems, the idea of being on an assembly line is like just horrifying. Like same thing day in, day out. Now some people really like it. But for people with addiction problems, this is generally a time of great suffering because nothing is happening, right? So this is a good lesson, right? In relationships, in hobbies, in the work you do, all these things, that this idea of make sure whatever you're doing is becoming more complex, is becoming more complicated. And this, according to people like Czikszentmihalyi and all this, he's a very good researcher, that this will keep whatever you're focused on much more interesting, and you'll feel much more alive. Anyway, that's the June program on boredom for the Sunshine Coast Health Center, and we'll see you back next month with another topic.